Naren was a young engineer who had recently moved into a small town for work. He was a private person, skeptical and logical, with little patience for the superstition that locals believe in. One evening, he came home to find a small puzzle waiting for him on his doorstep. It was wrapped in old clothes and tied with a strange, not black string. There was no note, no return address. Only his name was written in red ink on the package. Curious and somewhat disturbed, he took the package inside and unwrapped it. Inside was a small, old-looking amulet carved from a dark, cracked wood. The surface was etched with strange symbols and wrapped in a frayed black cord. Naren examined it closely, feeling a strange energy emanating from the charm. Something dark and unnerving. Dismissing it as an odd prank, he tossed the charm into the drawer and tried to forget about it. But that night, as he lay in bed, he began to hear strange whispers, low, indistinct voices, speaking a language he couldn't understand. He tossed and turned, unable to sleep, haunted by the faint feeling that someone was in the room, watching him from the darkness. The next morning, feeling exhausted, Naren decides to ask around about the charm. He found an old woman selling herbs and talisman in the local market. She was rumored to be a witch, a woman who practiced dark arts and knew secrets that were better left unknown. When Naren showed her the charm, her face drained of color. She snatched it from his hands, eyeing with horror. This charm, it is not something to be taken lightly, she whispered. What the fuck is that? Holy shit. เครื่องทองดำ That is not the word, by the way. Holy shit. What is that? What did I write? It's a black charm used to bind spirits. Whoever sent this to you intended to curse you, to bring something dark and danger into your life. Naren, who didn't believe in curse or magic, scoffed at her words. But the woman grabbed his arm, voice shaking. This is no joke. This charm binds spirits to its owner. As long as you possess it, you will be haunted by something beyond human. Something hungry and full of hatred. He shrugged off her warning, thanked her briefly and left. But that night, he tried to sleep. The whisper returned, louder and more insistent. as though something was calling his name from the shadows. The days that followed were filled with strange occurrences. Naren would feel cold hands on his shoulder, hear soft, sinister laughter echoing through his apartment. At first, he tried to dismiss it as his imagination, but soon as his nights were consumed by paralyzing terror, he began to see glimpses of a shadowy figure out of the corner of his eyes. A tall, dark shape with hollow eyes and a smile twisted with malice. One night, he awoke to find the figure standing at the foot of his bed. Its hollow eyes stared into his, and it reached out a long, skeletal hand, brushing its icy finger across his cheek. Naren tried to scream, but his voice was trapped in his throat. He was frozen in place, forced to stare into the depths of its empty eyes. When the sun finally rose, the figure disappeared, leaving Naren drenched in sweat, his heart pounding with fear, realizing the charm's true power. He decided it was time to get rid of it. The next day, he returned to the old woman and demanded she take back the charm and the curse somehow. But she shook her head, her expression grave. You can't simply throw away a black charm, Naren. It has chosen you, and it will follow you until it gets what it wants. What does it want? Naren demanded, fear tightening in his chest. It wants to possess you, she replied softly, to take your life force and fly you to its realm. The spirit tied to this charm was once a human, but after years of suffering and hatred, it had turned into something else. Something hungry. Desperate, Naren begged her to help him break the curse. After a moment of silence, she finally agreed, but warned him that the ritual would come at a great cost. She instructed him to bring the charm to an abandoned temple deep in the forest at night. There, he would have to face the spirit and banish it himself. That night, Naren made his way to the temple, the charm clutched tightly in his hand. The air was thick with silence, the moon barely casting a silver light. As he entered the crumbling structure, the witch has left instructions for him. Light the incense, burn the charm, and chant the words she had written down. He lit the incense and held the charm over the flame. A piercing scream erupted from the darkness. The shadowy figure appeared, its hollow eyes burning with fury. It lunged toward him, its twisted smile growing wider as it reached out, its fingers brushing against his skin, draining the warmth from his body. Terrified, Naren tried to chant the words, his voice shaking as the spirit laughter echoed around him. The charm began to burn, smoke rising from it, but the spirit only grew stronger. Its form solidifying as it drew closer, feeding on his fear. Suddenly, the charm shattered in his hands, and the spirit let out a loud, curdling scream. Its form twisted and written before it was sucked back into the charm, broken fragments. The air grew deathly still. Relief. Naren stumbled out of the temple, leaving the broken pieces behind. But as he reached the edge of the forest, He felt a familiar icy hand raised on his shoulder. Naren turned, and there it was, the spirit, his eyes glowing with a twisted joy, its hand still resting on his shoulder. He froze as he realized the witch's true warning. The curse was not meant to be broken, but transferred. The spirit smiled, wide as it leaned in, whispered in a voice filled with malice. Now you were mine. Naren felt his body grow cold, his vision blurring as the spirit shadow consumed him, lighting his soul to the cursed chime. And as the first light of the dawn break, all that remains of Naren and his hollow, twisted smile, trapped forever in the darkness, waiting for the next soul to stumble upon the black charm.